like a good steakhouse, but in my opinion.
You got to hit
But
this.
when I think of
I
anything,
think that clock is about a minute slow,
I think
Ms.
of
Terry Williams.
a lot of drinking and partying and getting drunk and falling down.
Oh, really? You don't think of a movie?
What say you, City Council?
No, the places I've been, normally the entertainment districts are where the hoochie-coochie bars are, and, you know.
Courtney Dunn.
Watch out.
We have work to do, sweetie. Let's get off the phone.
Yeah, kind of like Bourbon Street.
I'd like to call the Maumelle City Council meeting to order. I have not heard from Councilmember Anderson that I'm aware of. He may have told me something, but I don't remember. So it may be on me that he's not here. So, but I don't remember that. Also, I need to let you know that City Clerk Timmons is out of town at the International Institute of Municipal Clerks meeting, and Deputy City Clerk Amanda Smith will be in her seat tonight and read the ordinances and resolutions and everything for us. So the call to order made. We'll move on to the invocation and pledge of allegiance, and I've asked Councilmember Vapurzian to lead us in that tonight.
Father, we love you. Thank you for this day, for the opportunities that you provide for us. And sometimes we see obstacles and don't realize the opportunities that lie on the other side of them. And sometimes the obstacle is the opportunity. And if we just see things from your perspective, give us wisdom tonight as we have decisions to make. Lord, our thoughts and prayers are with those in Texas trying to make sense of what happened there and in the school shooting. And God, I pray that you would bless and comfort. And there's some real difficult questions that need to be answered. And there's some families that are hurting. And I just ask that you'd comfort them in a very special way. For this gentleman just found in Little Rock that was missing, for the situation there, for his family and friends also. Thank you for your protection daily upon us. I don't think we realize every day how often we have close calls, but we're thankful for bringing us together this evening. Bless our military men, women that are abroad, that are here, our uniformed personnel for their safety as they protect us. Again, bless us this evening. We are most grateful for your love for us and for Jesus. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item is special guests and announcements, and we don't have any of those tonight. Next item is the approval of the minutes from the May 7th regular meeting. You have a copy of those minutes in your packet. Are there any corrections or additions to those minutes?
Move to accept.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept. Is there any discussion on that motion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Motion passes. Next item is public comment. I have no public comment cards on agenda items or non-agenda items tonight. Move on to the next item, which is a financial statement review, and Ms. Vega is here tonight to present that.
Good evening. Okay, so go to the next slide, please. This slide is of our fund balance, and the sanitation fund is up 7% over budget. The street fund is up 3% over budget, and the general fund is up 1% over budget. The next slide, this is of our general fund revenue sources. City taxes are up $228,000 over prior year. Franchise fees are up $78,000 over prior year, and county sales are flat to prior year. On the street fund, the street aid is up $8,000. The county millage tax is up $48,000, and the turnback state turnback is down $23,000 to prior year. The sanitation fund is flat to, it's $10,000 difference up. Okay, now we're at the general fund expenses. As you can see, fire and police are up over prior years, and this is due to police and fire increase to uniform personnel pay and the corresponding law fee expense. And the new senior center, it's up over prior year, and that's due to the new center not being open in first quarter and a bigger facility. And then this slide shows the spending by category. Police and fire are our greatest expenditures, and they're more than half of our general fund expenses. The street fund expenditures, all right, and under other operating, there's a big difference between prior year and current year, and this variance is due to in 2016 or 2017. There was a third entrance expense, Michael Baker, that we were waiting on reimbursement for, and that had not come in. That's why that number's so high. And that was $73,500 that we were waiting on, and we did receive. And then the other variance is that the fuel allocations were not booked. And again, those were corrected in future months. Sanitation expenses, other operating expenses are up because tipping fees increased $7,000 over prior year. And 2017 is down because, again, fuel allocations were not booked in prior year. Are there any questions?
Councilmember Scott?
Have we found out anything about the department store revenue? The stuff that we're getting that we don't know?
They won't talk to us about it.
Oh,
You can't get any information about it.
but it's still there.
It's still there. They haven't recovered it, or haven't rebated it back, but we won't get our sales tax report until about the 25th of this month. So it's not showing up necessarily. You're at the end of April
Okay.
on this one. So, but the sales tax usually comes in about the 25th.
Okay. Just curious.
But
Any other
you
questions?
cannot ask DF&A a question about where that money comes from. You know, they just don't allow it.
And that's our city sales tax.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Councilmember Vapurzian?
As to the same question, follow-up, is there a statute of limitations for when they can come and pull it back out? I mean, could they come back in 2 years and go, we made an error? Are you aware? of
There is a limit. It was 3 years. I think it's been reduced. I think it's been reduced to 2 years, but it's somewhere. At one point in time, they could go back 3 years and get it. Yeah.
Second question I have is with the revision that we're talking about tonight, the budget revision for the health insurance through the league, somewhere close to $50,000 in that area. Now everything is up except for turnback. So you think we'll be well covered this year for that 50,000? I mean,
Don't we have a resolution for that?
we do.
We do, yeah.
We do, but is there any concern of yours at all for that?
That it's going to be higher?
I mean, well, we don't know if it's going to go up next year, do we?
Oh, we won't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know what it's going to do. They do it. They change in January and July.
Was it based upon the loss that they suffered because of the
It was
claims?
it was based upon the claims paid versus
Yes.
premiums
Okay.
that we paid, so yes. And we have not had an increase since 2013 on our health program. And that is almost unheard of if you look at anybody else in corporate world or whatever. And I would say even the 10% that they went up is probably lower than most corporate insurances
Agreed.
have gone up. But the reason we're in a self-insured pool, but at the same time, we've got to be able to carry our own weight in that. So that's what they look at. And based on our losses, they could have bumped us up 2 classes, but they only bumped us up 1. Because the losses were about, and I had that for later,
9?
well, it's 230-something thousand, I think, but that's before they do the incurred but unpaid claims, and then it's over almost $400,000 when you add that in there, because historically, medical bills come in late to the insurance company, and so they've estimated an under 100 and, I forget now the number, 150 or 100-something thousand in addition to that, so. But if you look, I mean, overall, the general fund balance is up about, what, 100,000 over what we estimated also currently, if I'm looking at
That's
that
correct.
right. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and that's in the general fund. This is be about 41,000 in, 42,000 in general fund, 3,600, 3,700 in street funds, and 4,200 in sanitation. So it's coming out of all departments, that health insurance increase will.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do I hear a motion to accept the financials for April?
Second.
Who said so move? Okay, all right. Trying to help Ms. Smith out over here.
Who seconded?
It was Councilmember Saunders. Okay, we have a motion to accept in a second. Is there a discussion on that motion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Motion passes. Next item is a procedural motion. I need a motion from the floor to read all resolutions and ordinances by title only tonight.
Move. Second.
Second.
Third.
Okay, we had a motion by Councilmember Timmons and a second, I think, by Councilmember Vapurzian. He beat you to it, I'm sorry.
I'm a little hard to hear.
You know, we're practicing for Family Feud, so we're hitting that button in a hurry.
We have a motion and a second to read all resolutions and ordinances by title only tonight. Is there any discussion on that motion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Motion passes. Next item is unfinished business. We have the second reading of ordinance number 954, adopting a master street plan map. Deputy City Clerk Smith, will you read that by title only, please?
Yes, sir. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Maumelle, County of Pulaski, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled Ordinance Number 954, an ordinance adopting the Master Street Plan map and description for the City of Maumelle, Arkansas.
Okay, thank you. Are there any discussions on ordinance number 954? Mr. Neri is in the audience that can answer any questions if you have any. Councilmember
Just a quick
Vapurzian?
thought. I know at times when, whether it's a street plan or whether it's a population increase, sometimes our wards are reevaluated. How often is that done?
It's done after the decennial, I think, or decennial, I believe, census.
Okay.
So that will be done after the 2020 census.
Okay.
And the reason you're doing that, you're trying to keep the wards in the same
Yes, sir.
population. And so we did one, I guess the last time would have been in 2011 or 12 is the last time those were redrawn, and they may or may not change. I mean, it depends on how much population, and what they did in the last one is Metro Plan did that for us, and they tried to keep the areas that were growing the lower numbers, because you have to be within a certain percentage, and I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's 10%. When you make those districts, so they put the areas that were growing less than the other areas that really couldn't grow anymore. So like for,
Participate.
Yes, anticipating. So like, for instance, most of Ward 3 cannot grow just because that area is totally developed. And so I know Ward 1, they left some area, some population gain in, and it'll probably be in Ward 2 also, because that was the areas where subdivisions were still being built and all that in those two areas. So that's what I remember from almost 10 years ago.
Thank you.
All right, is there any other questions on ordinance number 954? If not, we'll move on to the next item, which is new business, which is resolution number 2018-12, amending the 2018 general fund budget. Ms. Smith, if you'd read that by title only, please.
Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Maumelle, County of Pulaski, State of Arkansas, Resolution number 2018-12, a resolution amending the 2018 General Fund, Street Fund, and Sanitation Fund budgets and for other purposes.
Okay, this is what we were talking about earlier, and I included the letter from the Municipal Health Benefit Fund that you should have a copy of, and it talks about how our medical rate class will be a Class 4 effective July 1, 2018. And as I stated earlier, they look at these twice a year, so we could, if the trend doesn't change, we could see another increase in January. I don't expect that because the claims that we incurred were from a one-time incident that was a pretty substantial claim. And so if you look at the next page that was included, it basically gives you the experience report, and premiums that were paid were $513,570.30. And this is from October 1, 2017 through March 31st, 2018. And the claims paid were $768,562, which was about $256,000 in excess of the premiums that were paid. And then you see the administrative and excess coverage cost expense of $15,400, and then incurred but unreported claims was $128, which resulted in an estimated total loss of $912,063.42, which is right at a $398,000, $493 that has been paid out or expected to be paid out more than premiums, or a loss ratio of 177.59. But it's not something that I think will continue at the rate that it was going at. Now, I think most of the claims on the big claim should have been in by March 31st. There's some ongoing things that are related to that, but not anywhere near. It was basically a hospital stay that went over 60 days is what that was with an individual. And so that's a large part of that, and it was during this period. They also won't tell me what it's related to because of HIPAA laws, but I think I know what it was. So, yeah. And then you have just a copy on the color copy is just the rates, and so we moved from a Class 3 to a Class 4. So I'd be happy to answer any questions on this resolution. And as you can see, there's a breakdown for each department on the actual resolution, so that you can see the amount that affects each department. And basically what that is related to is basically number of employees in each department. So you can see the smaller departments are impacted less than the larger departments.
Motion to approve resolution number 2018-12.
I have a motion to approve resolution 2018-12 and a second. Is there any discussion on that motion? Councilmember Mosley?
Yeah, the first question is this in final form? There's usually an account like fund reserves or something like that.
This is in final form. So you're right. There's normally how much is taken out, but well, we'd have to do it by hand. But we're taking out $41,857.07 out of the general fund. 41857.07 out of the general fund. And the numbers that we would have had would have been Miss Vega's latest numbers out of the general fund that were just given. So you could look at that report, and that's where that would, basically that number would go down from the
be the reserve.
Be the reserve number that's there, less that number is what we would actually have. So $5,935,300 would be the number that's listed there. And then in street fund, it was $3,689.15. And in sanitation, it's $4,250.88. And those should be reported on page 2, exactly in those numbers that I just gave you. So, but the last two, the street health insurance and the sanitation, those are separate departments, separate budgets.
Yeah, yeah. One other question, you know, I guess it's possible with the way we budgeted, you could do a budget transfer within departments to adjust for that if there's room in some other accounts or something like that. Now, there, you know, I think we said it can be done by, it's got to be by fund, by personnel, and by operating and capital expenditures, I guess. And so was there room to perhaps just do that without having to do the,
No.
try to stick with the budget?
No, because it was, the personnel is the one that you have the least movement on.
It would be the personnel.
It would be the personnel portion is where that's out, and that's the one that's the least that, if it would have been coming out of the, just operating, we could have looked at that and waited till later in the year and seen if we were gonna have overage, but we couldn't make a budget transfer interdepartmental from operating to personnel based on the way we just passed the most recent budget, so.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Just want to know if that was considered. Yeah, I couldn't tell if it was going to be operating or personnel.
No, it's personnel. It's a personnel benefit, and so those all fall in the upper part along with salaries and retirement and that sort of thing.
All right, those things are pretty much hard-coded. All right, thank you for that.
Okay. And I think one of the reasons we didn't list that one is there would have been 3 separate line items there for the general fund, the street fund, and the sanitation. And we were kind of doing this one as we were kind of winging it because we've never done one that touched all 3 budgets at the same time, to the best of my knowledge in the 11 years of doing this. So that was kind of, we were looking at how do we do this one, you know, and so we talked about it. So I think that's what we decided on the best way was just show each line item as it was, so.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions on resolution number 2018-12? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. All right, next items are mayor's comments. Just want to remind y'all of the Memorial Day event that is May the 28th at 10 a.m. That's at the Veterans Memorial at Lake Willisteen Park, so please come out for that and support that event. Rain or shine, we're going to be there. So bring an umbrella if it looks like it's going to rain, or you might want to bring one if it looks like the sun's going to shine. It might be a little warm out there. So, but please come out. We'll have the field of flags that should be there on Friday around noon, and then they will stay until after the event, and then they'll go down around noon. So if you can't come to the event, at least go walk through the field of flags. Lions Club Fish Fry event, it's my understanding, and Mr. City Attorney can correct me, they served about 350 meals that Saturday there. They felt really good about the Lions felt really good about the event, and they had a lot of prizes given out, and a lot of people just stayed and stuck around because they were giving out prizes. So I think they stayed for a long time after they showed up. But it was a good event, and you missed a chance to meet some politicians if you didn't go to it.
Fish was very good, by the way.
And then some good news, we will be having the 2016 audit presented at the next council meeting. So Mr. Kraft will be here. He was out of state tonight, or we were going to rush to try to get it done. Even though we don't have the documents printed, we were going to do something. But they're going to have those published, and then he will be presenting that. And if we can get those published soon, we'll probably just deliver them to your house so that you'll have a chance to look at them prior to that council meeting. It's what the plan is right now. Did you have a question on that, Councilmember Scott? Or
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
I was wondering if that evening we were going to forego the department reports.
We are, and I meant to say that. It's written down on my agenda that Yeah, we're going to forego those because the audit's going to be presented, yes. And Councilmember Mosley?
He had talked about it when we had him in for our oversight committee. He had talked about issuing a management letter. He said there would be some items in a management letter. And he talked about issuing that before the audit, but we haven't seen it or anything. Do you know if he was going to issue that at the same time?
Well, I'm sure he's going to issue it at the same time. I'll just have to ask him about that. But I think that they were concentrated so hard on getting the audit out. That's what we were trying to do, is get it out. And it got done Wednesday night or whatever, or Thursday, maybe been Thursday, actually. It was Thursday, that their portion got approved and all that. And because they prepare it, they give it back to us, we write a report, prepare that, and give it back to them, and then they have to look over it and approve it. And so that's what took place Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Okay.
And so, because I signed our letter on Friday morning early is what I did, so, yeah. And so now we're trying to get that published.
Thank you, sir.
Councilmember Williams?
I think he had mentioned in that meeting that his management letter, he was going to see if it was where did Ms. Vega go? She's not, was appropriate to do prior to submitting the audit in its final form. And I think maybe they just decided not to do that, to give it all at the same time.
Yeah, I remember it was kind of, we said it's up to you, however
Right.
you want to do it. And
Right.
Yes.
I think he was going to see if it was appropriate.
And we also talked about trying to do a condensed version, because the CAFRA that we do to submit for an award, well, we missed the deadline for the award. We knew that. So there was talk about paring it down, but it really was to a point that when we started talking about that we might as well do our normal standard audit, and we continued on with that because it was going to change the way things looked and the way everything was going to have to be written up. And so we left it as it was. And that was based on a decision between Ms. Vega, Mr. Kraft, and myself that, yeah, let's just keep doing it the way we've been doing it. And that way it's in the same format that everybody's used to seeing it. Planning Commission report is the next item. And that will be at the next meeting, because the Planning Commission meeting is this Thursday night. Council member comments? Councilmember Vapurzian?
Dragon boat races June 15th, 16th. Here, just want to make mention of that. That is a huge, huge event in Maumelle now.
Say the date again.
The 15th and 16th of June, the dragon boat races here at Lake Willistine. And there are hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of people that attend that. So, and it is a lot of fun to watch.
In June. I think they've adopted Maumelle as a permanent home for that too,
I would,
didn't they?
yes.
Well,
Like 3 years ago or 4
well,
years
as
ago.
permanent can be, yes. I
Yes.
mean, they moved it from a different location that they had been having it at, and it's been here ever since, so, yeah. Yeah. It's back to the definition, what's permanent, what's temporary, that we get into sometimes, you know. So something temporary sometimes lasts a long time, you know. Councilmember Mosley?
Yeah, I want to point out, I get the Sunday paper. I don't know how many people actually read the paper anymore, but they were talking about a splash pad that's coming in for Conway. Mayor knew about it, and those of you all that's been involved in all that probably do too, but they're apparently going to have one that's going to be finished, ready to open July 4th. They were just really starting groundbreaking in May. It's going to be cost us $330,000. 50/50 matching grant from the Arkansas Department of Parks and Tourism. It will be free to the public. There's no cost involved, apparently. Should accommodate 500 kids at a time. It seems like a lot of kids. And they apparently have 3 different areas for based on skill level and handicap level, that sort of thing. It was very interesting. I guess that's about it. But anyway, I thought I'd point that out in case somebody hadn't seen it. I've got the article if somebody wants it. Also wanted to mention that I was driving down the boulevard last night, and that area behind Riverland with the fencing and everything, that looks really cool with all the trees right behind it and everything. It just really makes a nice backdrop. That fencing was a nice touch when you did that. So kudos for that.
Well, I appreciate that very much. It was a requirement, so I can't take a lot of credit for it. There's a wall back there,
I'm
and so,
actually surprised nobody's run into that one right there by the road, but
well, they have hit it, but they've not destroyed it. We had to rebend it back in shape, and actually a car a few months back now, actually ran off the wall back there and took out 3 sections of it, and they've already been replaced, so.
all right,
We had orange safety fencing up there
I
for
remember seeing
a
that.
month or so while the fence was being rebuilt. But someone came through the median, they go in the opposite direction and wound up
Good grief.
out in that
Text.
area right there, so, yeah.
Lord.
So, but I wish I could take credit for the looks of it, but it was a requirement because there's a wall there, so.
Okay. Had a couple more items, if that's all
All
right
right.
here. Impact fees, we talked about that briefly the other night. And the mayor and I had a conversation in the last 2 weeks, and I will probably eventually make a motion, we form a committee to look into that. Generally, when you make a motion to do that, you almost have to be prepared to chair such a committee.
You do.
And I've got a committee going now, and I kind of told the mayor, I said, I'm having trouble even keeping that thing going as fast as I need to. So, but he and I talked a little bit about, we kind of zeroed in on what we thought might be appropriate. And we were talking about just the area on that side of the boulevard, that new growth area, and perhaps making any funds raised go toward fire stations and roads. And we knew it's not going to cover all that, but it would be something to look at as being able to prevent the residents from having to continually be paying new taxes to pay for growth. So anyway, so I'm not going to make that motion unless there's anybody here tonight that wants to chair that. I'll go ahead and make that motion, but
I don't have 1 minute.
nobody's jumping up. But anyway, think about that. So, and the last thing I thought I'd mention, I have a constituent that's a very detailed person, and they called me and said, "Are you aware that the new public safety tax goes into effect July 1st, and the community service fee does not go away till September 1st. And I said, I had not thought about that. I thought they were concurrent. And anyway, they were asking me, they were trying to verify their facts. And I said, I'll have to look at it. I have seen the ordinance that we did, and it is hard-coded for September 1st as far as the community service going away. But I'm not sure about the other one. Is the other one going to go into effect July 1st?
It is going to go into effect July 1st, but we don't receive any money from that until September. So that's why that decision was made like that. We talked about it on the council floor. The council actually passed that ordinance.
I don't remember the discussion though, so. that-
Well, I think you abstained and left the room, so
Did I?
I believe so. Yes, sir.
I don't think I
Yeah.
did.
Okay, all right.
That was something else.
Well, okay, all right, that may have been. But,
Anyway, I missed
but
that.
the discussion came at, the tax gets collected in July, but we will not see any proceeds from that until the month of September.
It would still be the same assets because it would be, I guess we bill in advance for the community service fee, but we get the revenue from the tax a month later or something
Right.
like that. So there's a timing difference.
There is a timing difference, but we
Cash-wise.
work on a fiscal year. So as of 2018, we will have only received our funds through October from the sales tax revenue. So budget-wise, that's the only way it was going to work out, and we are not billing for September. We're in June, we're only going to bill for July and August.
Yeah, 2 months.
2 months, yeah. So we're not going to double bill in my mind, we're not going to double bill. I will say that. Because we're collecting our community service fee for the months in advance, but then we're going to start in September, and then we're not collecting because that's when the sales tax check will come to the city of Maumelle. So in my mind, we get a citizen's check in July, a citizen's check in August, and then the state's check in September.
Okay. Does everybody else remember this conversation?
I do.
Okay. All right. Well, then it was discussed then. So I just didn't remember that. So.
Okay.
All
Yeah,
right.
and that, I thought I tried to make that very clear especially in the town hall meetings also, is that this is what was gonna
There
happen.
would be an overlap.
There would be an overlap, yeah. Because like I say, just because it's being collected doesn't mean we received that check.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Scott?
We talked a little bit about reforming an annexation committee. And I'm not volunteering for that. I am actually volunteering someone else, Councilmember Vapurzian, to chair that, because I know that that's a passion of his, and I was wondering how we go about doing that.
Well, I guess we technically have a annexation committee. So let me see who's on that. I'm sure the people that are on it are, I know that Councilmember Hoag would have been the one that was on it. I don't remember who else was on it. Anderson. So Anderson would still be on it. So it might be that all we need to do is replace Councilmember Hoag with Councilmember Vapurzian, and then there are other department heads, there are citizens that are on that committee that's current. Now, we may look at it, some of them may not want to be on that committee anymore, so we may have to make some other appointees. But I can have that information at the June 4th meeting and who's currently on it and
We have not gone without meetings, trust me.
Okay.
We have had multiple discussions, so, but I am more than happy. I am excited.
Okay.
This is the face of excitement.
Okay. All right,
God help us.
okay, I will, if it's okay with the council, I will put Councilmember Vapurzian on that committee, and then we'll see who else needs to be replaced on that committee.
If we need another one, I look
Okay.
at the other committee.
All right. And there's no, even if you're not on the committee, remember, you can always attend any meeting that you want to, so, yeah. And you're welcome to speak, I'm sure if the chairman will let you, so,
Everybody come.
okay, all right.
You pass out gadgets and trinkets.
Candy?
That's right. Well, I've been doing this for 2 years now.
So how will we
3
know
years.
when the meetings are?
We will make those public.
Yeah, we have to make them public.
Yes.
Since it's
Well, he
formalized.
said they've been having them.
Well, I'm the only
Well-
council member that's,
They haven't been having annexation committee meetings.
No.
He may be meeting with citizens, but he's not having annexation
just
committee
having
meetings.
discussions about possibilities.
I demand to know.
Are there any other council members' comments? Mr. City Attorney?
No, sir.
Okay, city clerk comments. She gave me some to make for her, so Ms. Timmons wanted everybody to be aware that in your city and town that you should have gotten this one that shows an aquatic center on it from Batesville. Back on page 45, it says the ACCRTA meets in Maumelle. And that's the Arkansas City Clerks, Recorders, and Treasurers Association. So there's a picture at the top of them inside the center at the lake. So if you haven't seen that yet, so
When should those have come? Are they,
they should have come in May.
They're
So
coming to our, oh, I got mine at home, I think.
did
It ca- Yeah.
okay,
I'm in there.
you,
yep, she's
With
in there.
Tina.
Yeah. So
The dates for the
they may not have you. We might not have you
I
corrected
don't
yet.
remember getting.
Okay, all right, it should, I think we got them about a week ago, I think. Now, I'm guessing at that, but yeah.
Then I don't.
Okay, all right, okay, all right. Get with Tina when she gets back and tell her you need to get added to the list. So it comes from the municipal league is where it comes from. And then, also, speaking of that, everyone should have received a confirmation email from the Arkansas Municipal League if you've indicated to Tina that you wanted to attend the conference in June. So that's coming up June the 12th through the 15th or whatever. You did not receive one?
No, I've talked with Tina, and she knows.
Well,
She
if
said
you,
she has the confirmations of what she told me.
well,
I
she
asked
told
her
me to
for
say
that.
everybody should have received their own confirmation by email, so,
haven't
I
gotten
didn't get it.
anything.
okay. Then check with Tina, but, that's all I'm gonna say, cause I don't, I get mine, and I get confirmation that I've been registered, but that's the one I get, so. So when she gets back on Monday, please check with her. Tuesday. Okay, you're right, Tuesday. Yep. Because we will be at the Memorial Day event on Monday. All right, and then that's, if you look under the FYIs, there's a lot of stuff happening. There's vacancies for the Tree Board, Facilities Board, and the Rock Region Metro Board. And then there's, just says city offices closed. They're closed on Monday, Memorial Day. So just so you know what day they're going to be closed. So, yep. All right, if there be no other business to come before the council, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
You have a clause for law.
They've got that in here, so yeah. All right, if there, all those in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Meeting is adjourned.
There be no other comments. Jess, two jokes in a row?
As short as I thought it was gonna be. I figured it was gonna be a 20-minute.
Someone spike your.
Been a couple of those over the years.
Okay.
Not many, though.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, yeah, so you won't miss a meeting, but you're just letting us know you're gonna